Joining me now from the Reagan National Economic Forum is Heather Podesta, the founder and CEO of Invariant. Heather, it's so great to be speaking with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Really pleased to have this opportunity.
So Invariant is, in many ways, the biggest lobbying and communications firm that does not necessarily get spoken about in mainstream circles. If you could just share some of the stats, because I think it's pretty incredible.
Well, we kind of want to keep it that way because we're the ones that work behind the scenes, and you can be far more effective if you're doing the work as opposed to talking about the work. We are in our 19th year, and we've been really fortunate to help some of the biggest brands that everyone has grown up with to startups that are 13 people that someday everybody will know their names.
So in terms of that work right now, we keep hearing about how it's uncertain times. What does that work entail?
So a little bit of everything. Uncertainty creates opportunity. And this is a moment where President Trump makes Washington the center of the universe. And folks are trying to understand how to navigate and be successful in this environment. And in that chaos, you have to have fortitude and persistence and a pretty good sense of humor. But it is an interesting time to engage. It used to be that the marketplace would decide the winners and losers. And we have moved into an environment where the federal government, the president, is setting industrial policy.
And how does that industrial policy evolving right now? What does it mean for companies that you work with?
Well, they're sitting at the table hoping to shape what that looks like. And I think there is a renewed emphasis on innovation and not doing things the same way that have been done before. That status quo is not a badge of honor, but something to challenge and to look at everything anew and figure out, is there a better way to be doing things that the government has done before, the way industry is working before, that sort of accepting what was, it's no longer acceptable to say that's the way things are done. And there's a sense of excitement in terms of what innovation can bring. And this administration has attracted new voices into governing, and that's also really interesting to see as they hit a political process, and politics and policy and people, a little bit of popular culture, to figure out how to navigate in an environment that is very new.
I was speaking with a venture investor here earlier today, and one of the points that she was making is that what you're seeing come to Washington right now is a lot of the tech ethos and sort of that innovative disruption come to government, come to Washington, come to policy making in a way that maybe we haven't seen, at least not in a recent generation.
It's super exciting. You cannot underestimate the stasis that exists, as well as the power of incumbency. But if folks are coming forward with ideas and products that work and services, folks are interested in having that conversation in a way that they weren't before. And, it isn't enough to sort of say, hey, I've got a really good idea. It's got to be operationalized and deployable today in the commercial market. I think what's really exciting is this administration's look at what are the best companies using and doing, and why aren't we bringing those lessons forward and harnessing that secret sauce for the government.
The way we're seeing policy making happen right now? And I guess the seat, to the extent it's happening, that business folks and corporate America has at the table. Is this different than what we've seen before? Or is it just that it's more transparent? I guess how is this process happening that maybe is different than we've seen in the past?
There definitely has been a power shift from Congress to the White House, and that dynamic folks are still getting used to. It also, the speed, the velocity, the ferocity of the velocity is a lot. And so I think for the business community in particular, keeping up has been a challenge, that folks have found themselves very much in a reactive mode. And in this type of environment, it's a little bit like, if you want to navigate it, it's a little bit like learning how to ski. Like the inclination when you slap on those skis is to lean back, which is like the worst thing you can do, when in fact, in this type of environment, you got to strap the skis on and lean right in and make it to the bottom of the mountain. And you're getting to the bottom of the mountain one way or another, but you don't want to fall down the mountain. You don't want to do the butt scooch down the mountain, but to be a little more, yeah, we all have done the Black Diamond butt scooch.
The ferocity of the velocity. I'm going to use that. The other conversation or debate that seems to be happening between closed doors is, or behind closed doors, is when to speak up, when not to.
Yeah.
If you are part of, the business community. And so I realize it's not one size fits all. It depends on the brand, it depends on the topic, but how do you counsel there?
So there is a time and a place for all of these conversations, and it isn't enough to say, I don't like this, but to engage in a constructive way in terms of directing policymakers in the right way. And whether it is tariffs or taxes or different things that are happening in the regulatory agencies, folks are open to having a conversation and understanding what is actually at play. The president has made it very clear, as has the White House, that tariffs are part of their policy, but they are open to having a conversation in terms of what's working, what's not working. And I think it is just a very different type of muscle than folks have used previously. But I think if you have the facts on your side and you are thinking through it through the lens of what is good policy, what is good for the U.S., what is good for the U.S. workforce, you should be speaking up. But speaking up doesn't mean spending time talking to you on air, but speaking up is talking to the person who is responsible for managing that part. I think, it can feel really good to express yourself on X or on different media stations, but that isn't how business is done. It isn't how politics is done. And so how people communicate are, Washington's kind of old-fashioned. We wear suits, we wear dresses, and we have face-to-face conversations.
And so that hasn't changed?
No.
You've worked with quite a few companies, including some of the most successfully disruptive, fastest growing companies in recent years, in recent decades. Your name's been linked to SpaceX, for example, a number of other big brands, American brands that Americans will know. I guess just in terms of how you work with a company to help it grow.
So my job for our clients is to help them kill risk, make money faster, and build their brand. And it is the lens in which I view all of our problem solving through. And in Washington, there are barriers that are put into place to slow competitors down. There are also ways to move much faster than you would otherwise if you know what you are doing. And so part of it is having companies focus on what is achievable and then being ruthless in terms of the prioritization of what can get done and then executing. And the old ways of Washington, there absolutely was a playbook. That playbook has been thrown out in the last 5 months. And so certain things hold true, but we will have the question for the record in the hearing and put this person on account is a lot less effective than other ways of breaking through. I love working with startups. We've had the really good fortune of working with brands that were once very small and are now very big. And those are always David versus Goliath fights. And nothing is ever given to someone in Washington. It is having to prove that you can execute at the highest levels in order to break through, have that first federal sale, and to be able to build on that. But one of the reasons I love working with startups is you are not only solving a communications problem, a lobbying problem, but also giving business advice, having seen what works and doesn't work.
Heather Podesta of Invariant, it's great to speak with you.
It's
Thank
good
you.
to be with you. Thank you.